Hello and a warm welcome in the next episode of Sphere IT podcast. I am your host, Monika Soja. I am a UX UI lead design at Virtus Lab, the driving force behind the whole Sphere IT. And today, with our amazing guest, Anna Wojcieszczak, we're going to uncover the mystery behind the design operations. We're gonna try and figure out what it is, what it's doing, and when to call for aid, for help to design ops, and if it's actually a great and promising prospect in the next step for our career.
Will try my best.
Yes. So thanks very much, Anya. It's a pleasure having you here. I think for the starters, let's try and introduce you properly. Anya, you're a design ops and a service designer, and you also hold a UX program management at Google, right? So this one it's very impressive. What's more impressive is that you're also co-lead at a design operations assembly that you established as well. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure, of course. So Design Ops Assembly is an international organization set up by the design ops passionates and practitioners. Normally, it is the most popular in the United States. The reason behind that is because the biggest amount of design ops professionals are actually present in the United States. But luckily, it's spreading. And in Europe, there are more and more people like us. And recently, with my colleagues, two amazing colleagues, we set up the Design Ops Assembly actually in Poland, looking for other design ops practitioners and passionates who will be eager to learn about this profession and who will be eager also to maybe teach others about their super skills and superpowers.
Great. Let's talk about this more, because as you said, the design operations, design ops, it's mostly popular in the United States. We don't hear that much about it here in Poland. It's quite mysterious, and we usually see it in a vast and mature companies, right? Like Google. So can you tell us what you actually are doing, like what your day as a design ops looks like? What are your main responsibilities?
That's a very good question, because actually there is no simple answer to that, no one simple answer. It basically depends what is the organization you are a part of. Before joining Google, I used to work at Brainly, which is an edtech startup from Krakow. Mm-hmm. It's a smaller organization than Google, for sure, but it was also very complex when it comes to the amount of designers and different design-related roles that were operating within the company. My main responsibility there was to support the whole UX community, including also managers, but also design leads and all of the different type of design-related roles within the org, in making sure that they have all of the tools, all of the processes and practices in order to focus on the best quality design deliverables. Meaning that I was working hand in hand with design managers, making sure that the designers are happily onboarded to the organization. That part of onboarding is also linked with teaching them how to use the proper tools and what are the different tools that we use as UXers here. And I also supported the introduction to different cross-functional partners that they were later on cooperating with, like engineers, product managers, making sure that basically after the onboarding process, they will be able to start operating with a success within a new reality, new organization, and new products that they will be working on. But onboarding was just part of it. And then comes the day-to-day. And sometimes the design ops is also a project manager. In a way, you are jumping into the cross-functional partner team, supporting people in making sure that they will deliver on time and that the designs they will create will go through all of the reviews, making sure that all of the senior leadership will be aware, so there will be no surprises at the end. And last but not least, supporting also even the offboarding processes of designers. So I like to think about the design ops as a service designer, being responsible for a creation of a path for designers since the moment they join the organization until the moment they leave the organization, and making sure that they can work effectively. And it applies both to Brainy and it applies both to Google, so much bigger organization that I'm currently a part of.
I see. So what I'm taking from this is it sounds like it's a very vast range of responsibilities, and that you're responsible basically, for the creation, the whole process, and it's a lot of processing and how it looks, how the way of working looks like between the lot of parts of the whole system, whether it's a management, project management, or a design, or the stakeholders, and maintaining the contact in between and seeing how it works and whether it works smoothly. So that's a lot. It sounds like a lot of responsibility, and to create all this holistic view of work and the ways that people working with each other.
Yes, it is. Sometimes design ops people are being called chief happiness officers or chief empathy officers, because you need to have these qualities and skills in order to be successful in your role. You need to be able to work with different partners. You need to be able to react when it's needed. So it's a very specific role, because you are not a direct design manager. You are not a designer yourself as such, but you need to know the process, know how designers operate, and know how to best collaborate also with different people who are doing like completely different things. So I think that soft skills in this role are in particular important, actually.
I see. Okay, so could you tell me, because what is like the most common, like if we can make it a little bit more concrete, what is the most common problem you can encounter like in your everyday job? Like you come to work, you sit with your coffee or tea, and suddenly something comes up. What is it usually? Somebody comes with a problem. What kind of problem it is?
Very often the problems that design ops people are solving are the problems related to the scalability of different processes and or solutions that we use on a day-to-day basis within the design orgs. Meaning that something that worked very well when the team was small, or the problem that was initially only characteristic for a smaller populations, all of a sudden grew and all of a sudden got bigger. And right now a design ops person is responsible for making sure that we have new processes, new solutions, new tools that will allow us to solve this problem or handle certain situation on a bigger scale, larger scale, tackling larger populations also. So the scalability is one thing. The other thing is simply making sure that people feel good at their job and that they know what they need to do and they have all of the tools to deliver it on time and with a good quality. Meaning that you put the shoes of project manager actually, and you need to establish a roadmap, define the milestones, define the routines of cooperation with designers and different cross-functional partners, making sure that everyone is well informed about each stages and stage of the process. And in the end, you are the one who is also supporting the effects of the work of designers in a way that you make it visible to the whole organization. So sometimes you also put ahead of a marketer who's promoting the job of a designers across the organization, being an ambassador. So it's a very versatile role. And the focus area might depend heavily on the scale of the organization, on the current problems that your organization is facing. It might differ. And that's why I actually love it so much, because you never know what's going to come.
What's going to happen today at work. You see. Well, that sounds super interesting. It sounds like a very challenging work as well. But we mentioned that it's about scalability. And would you say that this is why, or this may be why we find a design ops job only in a bigger, mature organizations, because it's all about scalability, and these problems usually don't appear in a smaller organizations.
I think you might think about it that way, yes. I think that in general in Europe we do not have so many product companies. Of course, the Silicon Valley is like the headquarter of innovation within the world still. And they have so many product teams which scaled a lot thanks to the investment that they got, that all of a sudden the small teams of designers, like from 3, 5, 6 people, scaled to 20, 30 or 130 or 300 even. At Google, we have thousands of people who are working at design. So at certain stage, you start noticing that you need a support from someone like design ops, because basically otherwise design managers are not designing anymore, because all of this, let's call it administrative stuff that normally design ops can handle, otherwise are on their shoulder. So the moment where organizations think that it's good to hire someone like a design ops, it's normally the moment where design managers, design leads notice that they have more and more of this administrative operational work on their plate and less design related tasks. And that's the moment in which actually not a lot of organizations find themselves, especially in Poland, because there are not many companies in Poland who hire more than 20 UX designers, for example. If you have 20 UX designers, you might consider hiring a design ops, because if you have 20 designers who need to cooperate with even more product managers or engineers, it creates a lot of interactions and possibilities for improvements also in this area. So, that's why.
Would you say that it's not mainly about the scale and size, but mostly about the maturity of the company? Say that at some point that design managers, they just notice that it's too much for them and they need somebody else to take the administration from their shoulders. And that's the step when the organization, the company is mature enough to figure this out.
Oh, yes, definitely. And if the organization is mature enough to figure this out, it is already a good sign. However, it might happen that, they will hire a design ops and then they're going to struggle with defining, for example, what is the scope of responsibility of that person? Because it's so versatile, it might differ. You can find a lot of best practices within the industry. So there is no one recipe or one job description for a design ops practitioner. So this design maturity that you just tackled is crucial, because otherwise design ops person enters the organization and all of a sudden it might occur that, but normally design manager was doing that. So why now design ops will do it, right? And this design manager needs to feel comfortable also with the fact that someone new occurred who will take part of the responsibilities from their plate. And actually one of the first task that a design ops person is performing within the new organization or should perform is creation of so-called design maturity framework, where you assess what is the current level of the organization when it comes to these needs, and also knowledge in regards of that role. And then you identify the first actions that you should prioritize as a design ops in order to make the organization more efficient. So scale is one thing, definitely maturity is crucial.
It's crucial. Mm-hmm. All right, thanks. I think that's going to help a lot, because we're still in this phase that design ops is quite a mystery for us, and it is a problem defining the responsibilities of these people, especially now that you say these responsibilities, they actually may vary depending on what the organization is currently needing from the design op to take off the plate from design managers. But you mentioned earlier that empathy and soft skills are quite a crucial skill as well for people who consider making a career out of being design ops. So could you let us know a little bit more on that? What are actually the most needed things and characteristics for a person that will consider a career in design ops?
I would say that the design ops person needs to be a good facilitator. Therefore, for example, when I started within the role, I already had an experience as a lecturer and business trainer, and it really helped me a lot, because very often you are the one who is leading the meeting, making sure that you track all of the action points, making sure that people fully understood what just happened there. It's not always so obvious. So facilitation for sure. Then I would say conflict resolution, which is also not so obvious skill. Why? Because you have an interaction with so many different stakeholders, with so many different interests, that conflicts is basically something that for sure will happen sooner or later, and you need to know how to deal with it. You need to know how to cope with it. Negotiations. This is also another skill, because very often you act as an ambassador of a design community within your org. So you need to make sure that you will be able to encourage and convince different stakeholders who have a bit of a different ideas that this is the way, and that actually user experience might benefit out of that and the company might benefit out of that.
It sounds like you have to be a very patient person as well. You have to have a lot of patience for this.
Yes, definitely useful skill. And last but not least, I would say you need to love people, because your work is all about working with people. As I said, making them happy, making them feel comfortable at their work, connecting them. So without that skill, without the love to the meetings and meetings new people, you simply cannot be successful in that role. And one last thing that might not be so soft skill, more technical one, you need to also have this project management skills, because in the end, it's also all about making sure that we deliver on time. So that's very useful here.
I understand. One side question to that, because I was wondering about this technical skills as well. And you say it's mostly about soft skills and super important to be able to know how to work with people, how to negotiate, and you have to love people. But what I found very challenging when negotiating, talking to people in tech industry, is that they mostly very, very technical, and you usually have to have this technical knowledge or some technical experience simply to know how to talk with them or what to talk about with them, because they usually find it difficult if you don't know what to talk about or how to talk with them about some technical subject. You're talking about delivery. So would you say that having those technical skills would be most beneficial, or not necessarily?
I would say you do not need to be a designer yourself, but you need to know how the design process operates. You need to love design as well, be passionate about it, because you will work with people who are designing on a daily basis. So if you do not share this passion, you're lost. But when it comes to other technical skills, very often I work also with engineers and I work also with product managers. And I'm not a developer or engineer myself. I do not have that knowledge. I never did. But still, I am able sometimes, not always, sometimes, to convince them that, this is a better option for us. And it's because I fully understand the design process. So you do not need to be an engineer to work with engineers. You do not need to be a product manager to work with them. You need to know, well, your part of the job and to make yourself look credible in front of them and feel credible in front of them. And that's how you will convince them that you basically know what you are doing. So, but I really like the question that you asked, because very often people hesitate to start within tech, and especially such roles which are not very specific, because they feel that I do not have such a vast knowledge, or I do not have the specific knowledge about this area, so maybe I'm not a good profile. And I would say that thinking about the design ops, it's actually better if you are a generalist. It's actually better if you have this holistic overview and understanding of the process, but you do not need to be a specialist in that. You are a specialist in design ops, and that's what counts here. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is super helpful and very informative, so definitely helped me to understand it better. The last question I have for you in this area is that how could you tell us, if you could convince us a little bit about that we need design operations? How could we benefit from having design operations within our maturing organizations in Europe?
Mm-hmm. So I would say that at the moment where you realize that you need more and more meetings, or at the moment where you all of a sudden cannot track all of the emails or comments in Figma, that might be a good moment to consider having someone who's going to act as a glue and a connector, and who will make sure that people who need to see the comments, need to get an email, need to get the message, will get it. And another thing is that when you see that there are discrepancies between different roles within so-called product trio, so engineer, product management, and designers, if you see that your company is, for example, only edge-driven or only product management-driven, it means that we lack the balance. And normally this product trio should function effectively if everyone acts as a partner on equal rights. And if you observe that there are these discrepancies, lack of balance, it might also mean that design ops might be a helpful hand here, because it's an ambassador of design, helping people understand how design operates and work and why it's beneficial. So it adds this human touch to the whole development process, I would say.
I see. I think it's, from what you're saying, we actually need it pretty badly in most of the companies now. All right. To wrap it up, thank you so much. I'm still having two very quick questions, not work related this time. We usually ask it each guest, and it's about the current book you're reading and if you could recommend it.
So the most recent thing that I discovered the book is Let My People Go Surfing. It's an autobiography of a Patagonia founder, and I really enjoy it. Patagonia, it's an interesting company, so it's great to learn the story behind it. And what was the other part you asked?
Yes, could you recommend it? Is it good enough to read?
Yes, I think that I still did not finish it, but I'm somewhere in a 50% of it, and I would say that it's pretty good. Highly
Certainly
recommend.
going to finish it.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
I will.
And the next one is if you could give us, actually to our listeners, if you could give our listeners some kind of piece of your wisdom and instant takeaway that they can incorporate to their daily work or daily life, something that you live by.
I think that we touched it a bit. So be courageous and be curious, and do not think too much, because overthinking might kill a great initiative or a great project just before you will start it. Or, you will not apply to a certain job because you will think that I'm not good enough. So I think just be courageous, be curious, and go for it.
Great. That sounds like a great advice.
Thank
I'll
you.
take it.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, then. Thank you very
so
much.
much.
It was a pleasure having you today. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and your wisdom and a lot of information about design ops. And yeah, it was great having you. Thanks, Anya.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
very much. And to our listeners, follow us on YouTube, find more of our episodes or of our podcast on either YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And see you next time. Thanks very much.